Hello, my name is Jasmine Jeffries, and I am a remedial project manager with EPA Region 4 and the lead project manager of the Southside Chattanooga lead site. In today's presentation, I will be discussing the explanation of significant differences which the EPA has issued at the site for an increase in cleanup costs. I will also be sharing a few site updates. Chattanooga was home to a number of industrial and manufacturing facilities. There had been more than 60 foundries operating from the 1880s until about 1980 in the city of Chattanooga. These foundries produced mostly iron, brass, and bronze metal castings, from which large quantities of spent foundry sand and baghouse dust were generated as byproducts. This material was distributed by the foundries to be used as fill in floodplain areas and as topsoil throughout various parts of the city, including residential areas. Awareness of the possibility of lead-contaminated soil came about in 2011 when a resident who had been admitted to the hospital was found to have elevated blood lead levels. As a result, a series of soil tests took place in the surrounding area of the resident's home, followed by a site investigation that took place throughout multiple neighborhoods to determine the extent of the lead-contaminated soil. The Southside Chattanooga lead site was officially added to the National Priorities List, otherwise known as the NPL, on September 13, 2018. Following, an interim record of decision was signed on February 20, 2019, to address the lead-contaminated soil at residential properties in the following 8 neighborhoods: Alton Park, Cowart Place, Jefferson Heights, Southside Gardens, Richmond, Highland Park, Oak Grove, and East Lake. Shortly after the interim ROD was issued, the interim remedial action using the regional tiered approach began in September 2019. There are 3 tiers in the regional tiered approach. The first tier consists of properties of top priority. These are the properties with a lead concentration greater than or equal to 1,200 milligrams per kilogram in the surface soil, which is measured in the top 0 to 4 inches. The second tier are those properties that have a lead concentration greater than 360 milligrams per kilogram in the surface soil, with children between the age of 0 to 6 present. This includes pregnant women. And the third and final tier are those properties with a lead concentration greater than 360 milligrams per kilogram in the surface soil. When the EPA conducts a cleanup of a first or second tier property, those properties given third priority will also be cleaned up if they are located on the same block as the first or second tier property that has been prioritized. Here is a map of the 8 neighborhoods that currently make up the site. Both sampling and cleanup activities are ongoing at the site. Sampling by the EPA is conducted at residential properties, schools, and recreational areas throughout the 8 neighborhoods. Most residential properties are sampled in 2 parts, as a front yard and backyard, unless the lot is vacant, in which case the property is sampled as an entire yard if it is less than a quarter acre. Sampling is approximately 46% complete. As of August 1st, 974 of the 2,305 properties the EPA has sampled have been prioritized. 124 of those properties have a lead concentration greater than or equal to 1,200 milligrams per kilogram, and 71% of those properties have been cleaned up. 850 properties have a lead concentration greater than 360 milligrams per kilogram, but less than 1,200 milligrams per kilogram, and of those properties, 22% have been cleaned up. This neighborhood status chart was updated on August 1st and breaks down the sampling and cleanups by neighborhood. As you can see, 42% of the properties we have sampled qualify for cleanup. Highland Park, Oak Grove, Richmond, and Southside Gardens currently have the highest exceedance rate of cleanups needed per property sampled. We predict that of the total 5,000 properties, 1,892 properties will qualify for cleanup. As of August 1st, 276 properties have been cleaned up and restored. The cleanup method for this site was selected in the 2019 Interim Record of Decision. The selected remedy is dig and haul and consists of the following: excavating the lead-contaminated material from residential yards to a maximum depth of 2 feet below land surface, transporting and disposing of the excavated soil to an off-site EPA-approved facility, backfilling the excavated areas with clean material and grading to provide positive drainage, and lastly, restoring the impacted and disturbed areas. An installation of additional demarcation layer is added if material is present greater than 2 feet below land surface. EPA and TDEC will evaluate the types of institutional controls that may be appropriate to ensure long-term protectiveness of the remedy. These 5 photos show some of the excavations that we have done. Removing all potentially contaminated soil is not achievable in some situations. As we discussed on the previous slide, we put down a demarcation layer in areas that have elevated lead concentrations below 2 feet. Additionally, to avoid compromising the structure of the home, we do not use heavy machinery within a foot of the foundation. The same applies to excavations around retaining walls. Instead, those areas are hand dug. Another one, which applies to most properties, are excavations around tree roots. To prevent damaging or killing the tree, a gentle scraping of the top few inches of soil is performed within the drip line of the tree. And lastly, there are sidewalls. Think where the sidewalk and grass meet, or the side of a concrete pad, as shown in the center photo. We dig along the side of these areas, but we do not dig underneath them. These 3 photos show some of the restoration work we have done. Fescue sod was laid at these properties and was watered as needed for 30 days. After that period, the homeowner is responsible for the upkeep. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the EPA has issued an explanation of significant differences, also known as an ESD, to note a change in the cost of the remedy. An ESD describes a non-fundamental change to the record of decision. In the case of this site, the increase in cost was identified from an increased number of impacted properties, which is approximately 72% greater than estimated, an increased volume per property, which is approximately 26% greater than estimated, and an increase in cleanup costs per property, which is approximately 155% greater than estimated. All other elements of the remedy remain unchanged. We are still working in the 8 neighborhoods. Dig and haul with property restoration is still the remedy that we are using, and the cleanup goal remains 360 milligrams per kilogram. The total estimate of the remedy is $113.5 million. This estimated cost is based on actual sampling results and the costs incurred during cleanup. The current cleanup goal for lead remains 360 milligrams per kilogram. However, EPA will continue to evaluate lead cleanup levels to ensure the long-term protection of the remedy. Additional information on the estimated cost of the remedy can be found in the ESD document located under the Site Documents and Data tab on the Southside Chattanooga Lead Site webpage and at the site repository. More details are on the next slide. I would like to thank you for tuning in to today's presentation. If you have any questions about the ESD or any other parts of this presentation, please feel free to reach out to me by email at jeffries.jasmine@epa.gov or by phone at 404-304-2817. You may also reach out to our Community Involvement Coordinator, Stephanie Brown. Stephanie can be reached by email at brown.stephaniey@epa.gov. By phone at 404-562-8450 or toll free at 877-718-3752. And as I mentioned on the previous slide, you can access the ESD document as well as any other documents within the administrative record on our site webpage, which is www.epa.gov/superfund/Southside-Chattanooga-lead. You can also Google Southside Chattanooga Lead Site and find our website there. This information is also available at the site repository, which is located at the South Chattanooga Library at 925 West 39th Street in Chattanooga, Tennessee, zip code 37410. Thank you again and have a great day.